Alright guys, what's up? I'm back today reading some more Let's Not Meet stories, and I just read one and filmed it, but then as soon as I finished I realized I wasn't using my mic. So I've never posted to this subreddit before, but after Alright, but I'll just recap what I was talking about. I got a little bit in my head about reading these Let's Not Meet stories, thinking that they're kind of dumb or childish or whatever, but I just kind of I like listening to these stories, and it's just really a good excuse to just get in front of the camera and just get experience talking to it. I have tons of ideas for videos right now. The only thing is some of them are pretty hard to execute. I want to do paranormal investigations and stuff, and I really I always thought it was a matter of not having the time or the money to do it, but now that I kind of have those things, sort of, not really, but even just looking into it as if I had those things, it's harder than that to find locations where people will actually let you film there, you don't have to do it in secret and shit, and finding places that actually would be interesting. So yeah, one thing I'm definitely going to be trying to put a lot of time into is the Anything Spooky live show, which if you haven't heard about it yet, I'm basically going to be interviewing people, getting first-hand accounts, a lot like Let's Not Meet stories, of anything that could be a creepy encounter or a near-death experience or something paranormal, really anything interesting, adrenaline-based, anything that's outside of the norm, just a good story to tell. But yeah, you could gain access to that on my OnlyFans account. Alright, this one's a bit longer, but this one looks really good and I think I want to read it. So it's called I'm Convinced She Tried to Drown Me. This happened when I was still a child, so some of the details are pretty hazy, like my exact age when this happened. Also, English is not my first language, so apologies in advance for any mistakes. It's a common thing on Reddit. Not far from where I lived as a child, there is a place from one of the local river cascades over an old weir. The fuck's a weir? A weir is a low dam built across a river to raise the level of water upstream or regulate its flow. Okay, like a dam. And it's really a beautiful spot to bathe and swim during the summer. The water upstream from the weir is nice and calm. The river has a lot of fish and lots of pretty flowers on the riverbanks. And there's even a small kiosk and a place where you can rent paddle boats. Sounds fucking lit. If the weather is nice, there are usually a lot of people of all ages picnicking, sunbathing, swimming, fishing, just hanging out, enjoying life, being themselves. Families, couples, teenagers, seniors, everybody likes to go there. When I was a kid, my mom would always take me there pretty often, and it was always a lot of fun. Usually I wanted to play in the water for hours, and my mom would quickly retire to our picnic blanket and pick up a book. I could already swim fairly well by age 6, but she still watched me closely when I was younger, so I would estimate that I was at least 8 when this happened, but no older than 11. So what do you guys think? It's gonna be some random ass kid that tried to drown him or what? That's what I believe. It was a beautiful, warm summer day at the river. My mom was reading her book and let me explore the area and go swimming on my own. As was normal on days like these, there were a lot of people, and especially a lot of teenagers, up at the crest of the weir where most people entered the water. So the weir's just the motherfucking spot. In my town, it's the res, which it's not a weir, but I imagine it's basically the exact same thing. I'm afraid I don't remember the details of how it happened, but I sort of befriended one of the teenage girls there. She was there on her own, and since I was still really young, I thought she was so mature and cool. Basically, just for being an older girl who was there doing things on her own. No idea how old she really was, as everybody who is older than you at that age is just old, but looking back, I would guess between 14 and 16. She was really nice to me and seemed to enjoy hanging out with me, and I got to feel like I had an older sister for a while, which was nice. We spent some time exploring the riverbanks, diving, watching fish, and chasing each other around. Damn, frolicking? Was frolicking involved? At some point, we ended up at a spot where the water was about chest high for my friend and neck high for me, close to a group of other teenage girls who were about the same age as my new friend. I noticed one of them seemed really reluctant to get into the water and complained that it was freezing. I was still a pretty loud-mouthed and brash child at the time, a far cry from how I am now, and also really proud of my clearly superior swimming skills. So I turned to my friend and said something pretty harmless about that girl being a big wuss or something like that. I wasn't loud, but she heard. Her head snapped up, and she immediately jumped into the water and came at me shouting, "What'd you say? What'd you say about me?" I was freaked out right away because her reaction was so sudden and she seemed so enraged in a way that was so disproportionate to what I had said. I opened my mouth to defend myself somehow and maybe de-escalate, but before I knew what was happening, she had grabbed me and pushed me underwater. I struggled for a moment and she let me come up again. I think I heard my friend protest in the background, but I was mostly concerned with this girl who still had a death grip on both of my shoulders. She stared at me with a look that made me really uncomfortable, like she was fighting with herself to try to control herself. "What'd you say to me?" she screamed at me. Scared as I was, I resented how helpless I felt and that I was being humiliated in front of this cool girl I had befriended. So I resolved to not show any weakness. You know this obnoxious thing some kids do when someone tells them off and they just start giggling and laughing, like they're laughing at you because they didn't want anyone to see that they feel bad? I did that. I laughed right in her face, and right away she forced me underwater again, and she held me down for quite a moment longer than the first time. When she let me come up again, she screamed right in my face, "You think this is funny? You like that? You want to laugh at me, you little bitch?" I was coughing up water by this point and drooling all over myself, but I didn't know what else to do or say to make her stop, and the only thought I had left in my head was that I couldn't show any weakness. So I laughed at her again, and I may or may not have made another remark to the effect that, unlike her, I didn't mind a little water. I'm not sure anymore. What I distinctly remember and will remember forever is her eyes in that moment. It's hard to describe, but the closest I can get is by telling you that something seemed to leave her eyes. Some spark, or whatever you want to call it, that normal, sane people have just flickered and went out. It suddenly looks like her eyes were just two pieces of hard painted glass stuck in her face, and there was nothing behind them. I would have apologized then and begged her to just leave me alone, but it was too late. She grabbed me by the throat and the hair and pushed me underwater again. I struggled as hard as I could, swirling up mud from the riverbed, grabbing at pebbles, but it didn't help. I thought surely she will let me up in a moment. She just wants to scare me really bad. But I was running out of air quickly, and her grip on my throat did not ease up even a little bit. I tried snatching her arm, but I was starting to lose any sense of where up or down was at this point, or what I was grabbing at. When I opened my eyes, everything was just muddy brown and full of bubbles. I realized I was going to drown right here. I was actually being killed by this complete stranger while the sun was shining peacefully and we were surrounded by happy families and nobody realized what was happening. I'm grateful I don't remember fully what that felt like. When I try to think back to that moment, I just get this feeling of utter helplessness and loneliness. And then suddenly I was breathing air. I was completely disoriented, coughing and puking up water, and there was a lot of shouting around me. My friend was holding me above water and shouting in the direction of the group of girls who were forcefully leading my attacker away, while she was screaming at me and my friend, while her friends were screaming at her. Just a lot of noise in general, and I have no recollection of what anyone was saying. I was busy enjoying air again. After I had calmed down somewhat, my new friend apologized for stepping in so late, saying she and the other girls took a moment to process what was actually happening before they started trying to pull my attacker off me. It took all of their efforts combined to get her to let me go. I was deeply, deeply shaken because I was entirely sure she had attempted to murder me right then and there. I knew just from the look in her eyes. But still trying to save face for my friend, I tried to laugh it off. I did a lousy job because I was shivering all over and my voice was trembling. I don't know if my friend had realized at any point how serious the situation actually was, or if she thought she was just stopping some bullying. But whatever she thought, she brought me some ice cream and rented us a paddle boat to cheer me up, and we watched some birds, and I'm grateful for that, for saving my life. But to be really honest, my day was kind of ruined. I never saw my attacker or the nice teenage girl again after that day. And I said nothing to my mom because I was so embarrassed about what had happened to me. But that and some other things that happened to me later cost me most of the confident attitude I had as a child. And I'm a very shy and cautious person nowadays. So, girl who was willing to murder a child over some harmless teasing, let's never meet again, please. Damn. Some kids have fucking problems, bro. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these let's not meet stories tend to be kids. It's really creepy and weird. Bottom line is, don't ever trust your kid around strange kids. They could strangle them to death. So I hope you enjoyed these couple of stories. I'm definitely going to be getting back into this and doing a lot more Let's Not Meet stories. And I don't know about the true crime right now, but definitely stay tuned for the live shows because I'm more interested in giving people a chance to tell their own story rather than trying to tell their story for them. You know what I mean? So yeah, go ahead and stay tuned. Please subscribe. Please like the video and peep my mixtape on SoundCloud. Thank you. Have a good day.